What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Hops Geek News, a podcast that talks about comic books, movies, TV shows, and we feature a beer of the week typically. However, this week it's coffee time because we are recording in the morning time. And although it's never a bad time for a beer, we got to be responsible once in a while, right? Today's episode is a Flash movie review, and it will be spoiler filled. So if you haven't seen The Flash, then maybe go see it or don't. Come back and listen, or listen anyways. Totally up to you. That said, where you can find us, Hops Geek News, on every social media platform, every single podcasting platform. Go ahead. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe to the show to help us grow. And then, of course, if you feel so inclined to help and want to subscribe even further, go ahead, patreon.com/hopsgeeknews. We got all sorts of fun things going on. Come hang out with us on Discord as well. I always drop the link in the episode bios. Let's talk Flash. Of course, real quick, I'm drinking Starbucks coffee. That's what's in here. A big old cup of iced coffee this morning. And Lauren, what is your coffee sponsored by?
It's also Starbucks. So I had, we got that Capes and Heroes coffee, which is pretty good and it's fun. And they send you comic books with it. And I thought, oh, we'll do this anytime we record in the morning. But then I get up and my husband's already made a full pot of coffee and the house smells so good. So then I end up just pouring that.
I blew through that coffee. It was good.
Did you? I only had one cup to try it. And then Josh just always makes the coffee and he prefers Starbucks. So I need to tell him next time, don't make me coffee.
But hey, we're recording, dumbass. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But yeah, no,
make the special stuff.
He's very specific about his coffee. But I do have it in a Captain Marvel mug because we'll also be recording Secret Invasion. And I don't have a Secret Invasion mug.
I don't either. But yeah, that's another episode that we have out. So go ahead and check on that one. Let's talk Flash. So the official synopsis of The Flash, the movie that was in production since 2015, went through about 17 million different directors, finally found it. Their director, and Andy Muschietti, who is also going to be directing The Brave and the Bold coming out, apparently. Anyways, Barry Allen uses his super speed to change the past, but his attempt to save his family creates a world without superheroes, forcing him to race for his life in order to save the future. Now, of course, the cast is star-studded. We got Sasha Calle, we got Ben Affleck, Ezra Miller, we got Michael Keaton, Michael Shannon returns, Ron Livingston's back, and lots of people. Jeremy Irons and even Tamura Morrison makes a little appearance as well. There were a lot of cameos.
People in the audience, when he picked up the phone, they went, and I feel like they forgot that he's Aquaman's dad, because that wasn't a shock. It was literally said who he was calling, that he was calling. He goes, that's Aquaman's dad. He said that. And then people went, and I really think it's just people that were like, Arthur Curry? Shit, that's Boba Fett.
He's like, you want to talk to my dog?
I know.
But yes, so the movie starts out with Barry trying to get a sandwich, and he was so my first impressions. So we'll get to the Ezra stuff here in a little bit. Obviously there's a big black cloud hanging over this film. We understand. And I will talk about that here shortly. But the movie starts off with Barry Allen trying to get food. I didn't like Barry Allen at first. He was
hangry.
Off. Yeah, there's just something off about the portrayal of Barry Allen at the beginning of this movie.
Because we're used to him being so wholesome and sweet. And I think that's one of the things that Ezra's kind of took away from all of us in this movie, because there were times where I was like, Barry Allen and Grant Gustin both just genuinely seem like nice guys who truly care. And that Ezra does not. And I felt like that did take it away a little. But Ezra did a fantastic job in the movie. I will say that. Horrible human being. I hope they never cast him again in anything. I hope he gets recast. But I thought they portrayed the hangry very well, because, I personally learned so much about Barry from the TV show, and I know that he has to intake a shit ton of calories. So I thought that was kind of cool that they showed, Barry with the watch, and he was just getting hangry, and he's, getting yelled at every which way he can because he's constantly late, like Spider-Man. So I understood it. I didn't hate him for it. I understood it.
Yeah. That's I like how they did play into that a lot. Was like, hey, you need to eat a lot of calories to be able to move and do the things that you do. And not for nothing, but I actually really enjoyed the suit. I liked the Flash suit in this movie too. It was very cool. I liked the colors and the things that they did with it. It was very New 52-ish.
Even though it was painful on his dick.
Yeah. So at that point, that's when Alfred calls in, is like, we need you because the rest of the Justice League is busy. And it leads to this very awful sequence. I'm going to say, there was...
with all the babies?
Yeah. So Well, I'll get
At
to
first,
Ben
I was
Affleck.
like, "There's no way they're going to start the movie by killing a bunch of babies."
Well, obviously not, but the CGI is all over the place in this movie. I'm going to be honest. That is my glaring complaint, is that for a $200 million movie, the CGI looks like it's about PS3, PS4 graphics. It's not very like the babies. This sequence,
Oh, the babies look terrible.
I get what they're
Right.
going for. He was saving like a ton of people at once. They could have not used babies and just used like ER nurses or something like that, and that would have been fine because this dude, he broke out of prison. He stole this bioweapon essentially. And so Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck, he's chasing him around the city in this really cool bat bike because the bat bike makes a return. You know, if you think about
The bat
Christian
bike
Bale.
scenes were cool. And I was even thinking when he's like sliding down like the bridge or whatever, like that scene looked really cool. And then, it did kept cutting back to almost like claymation CGI.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. Like it bounces back and forth. I really enjoyed the Batman sequences. I love Ben Affleck. I wish we could have gotten more of this or more of him because it's really cool. Like he's going through the city. He showcases some of his, abilities and weapons and gear. That sequence, the whole chase is really cool. Those dumbass kids getting off the bus who just stood in the middle of the street as there was like an oncoming collision coming towards them and didn't move. That was kind of funny.
Well, no, he had already diverted it.
I know, but still, the kids were just sitting there like, whoa, I'm like, you idiots.
But no, I would honestly say what we've seen him in Suicide Squad, Batman versus Superman, and then Justice League, and this. And I would say, yeah, this was my favorite portrayal of Batflick. But what's funny is my husband has not seen all of the DC movies. He's not really into DC at all. And so I asked somebody, is it worth bringing him? Is he going to enjoy it? I asked Sean from Metal Nerds because he'd already seen it. He's like, yeah, he'll still enjoy it, but he'll enjoy it more, obviously, if he's seen everything. So he knew that they were connected to other things. And when Ben Affleck got in the car and drove away, they go, who gave the blind guy a car? And I'm like, what? And it took me a second. I'm like, oh, are you making a Daredevil joke? And he goes, he's not Daredevil. And I was like, no.
Wow, that's a deep cut right there. Oh my God.
And then he's like, oh, Daredevil's Marvel. And I'm like, yeah, you've seen the show. And I'm like, and you saw Spider-Man No Way Home. He's like, I forget these things. And he left at one point. I feel like he got like bored and he came back with a beer and nachos. I was like, oh, thanks. And got me another beer.
Well, I mean, hey, you know what? That's our spouses don't love this stuff. My wife's a little more into it than Josh, of course, but she's like,
your wife goes to Comic-Cons and hangs out, and
so that's hilarious. That's good. Yeah, the baby CGI, man. I can't get past the baby. Like my wife, Carrie hated it.
It was pretty rough.
She hated the whole sequence with the babies. That almost ruined the movie for her. And I was like, we could have done so many other things, but yeah, that was. And then I think like the fact that he was like eating snacks in the middle of it, that was fine. But then, yeah, just everything.
He needed the snacks.
I know, but everything with the babies.
It's like put on the mask on yourself before you save the kids. But no, yeah, the babies didn't look great. And then I'm like, now I'm just like, he's going to Gwen Stacy these babies when he grabs them. Like,
I know. I was like, how is he going to do this? And then, I mean, it was kind of clever, but he puts one baby in a microwave.
I know. When he did that, I literally like aloud was like, no.
I was like, what?
I just whispered to myself. Do not ever put a baby in a microwave. That was terrible.
It was insane.
But then he did explain that a little bit later. He's like, I can't.
Yes, see, I caught that.
Yeah. When the other Flash then like moved him and he puked, he's like, you can't really move people like that. He's like, you can stick them in a microwave.
But the other
and move the microwave.
That lady didn't puke, I guess, which is interesting.
Well, I guess how he caught them in the end, like he can't move quick with them, I guess. That's why he like did things and pushed things or pushed other things to block things to not kill the babies.
That's fair. No, that makes a lot of sense. You're right. This also leads to like the year of Gal Gadot doing 30-second cameos, and two of them are Wonder Woman. Like she showed up in Shazam and she was not filming in the same time as the rest of the movie. And then in this one, the one trope I'm really tired of is the goofy lasso of truth making dudes like bumble over.
I loved the Batman part, not the Flash
I liked
part.
Batman. Like, so the Batman was like, hi. And I was like, this is kind of funny. Then he had the lasso of truth. I was like, okay, that's fine. I actually think that's funny. And because there's different iterations of comics where Wonder Woman and Batman have it.
Yeah, together.
And I'm cool with that. Like, I actually feel it in this movie. But then like Barry had to open his mouth. He's like, I've never had sex. And I was like, oh boy.
Why do they keep making all these superheroes virgins? Like, no.
I don't know why.
The least
I don't know.
The least believable thing in Smallville was that Tom Welling was a virgin. Like really, guys, come on.
I mean, I could believe it with this iteration of Barry Allen 100%. But
No, you're getting laid by somebody, especially because he's older than 18. He's not even 18.
not. Yeah,
I'm guessing 18-year-old Barry is not a virgin.
yeah. But anyways, yeah, she just shows up.
But I did like
dips
that.
and disappears. I was like, this is Fast and Furious, Shazam, and now this. She just appears for 30 seconds of screen time and probably gets paid a pretty good amount of money.
I love her. She showed up and I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot to see Shazam too. I still haven't seen it.
Anytime she's on screen, you get that boo doo 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 bum bum bum. It's like,
Dude, the music was awesome, the whole thing. I think just because every time I heard Batman 89 music, it was like just so nostalgic and fun. And I was like, yes. And that's why I was all about this movie was Michael Keaton. That is why I was all about this.
For sure. After this, there was, Barry, there was a really like good sequence, and I didn't realize it at first, but then when they say her name later on is Patty Spivot is one of the
Patty.
Friends, Patty and Albert, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I don't know how to pronounce this actress's name. Soroyce Monica Jackson plays Patty Spivot, which she's barely in it, which is cool, but she's in a bunch of just like TV shows and things like that. I hadn't recognized her from anything else, but I liked that little Easter egg that they threw her into that.
Yeah, she was in quite a few episodes. That character of the Flash. I remember Barry dated her.
Well, yeah, she's a love interest in like the New 52 run and some other things like that, other than Iris. So that was a cool little Easter egg. And I also really liked the moment between Batfleck and Ezra, or Barry, I guess you say. I thought those moments, anytime like there was some like one-on-one moments of Barry with Bruce was cool. So they're talking about the time travel, and Bruce is basically like explaining it. You can't do this for this reason. You're always going to change something. Even the tiniest changes affect something major, so to speak. And it was a really cool scene. And I wish we got more of that Bruce Wayne, man. I wish we had a solo Ben Affleck Batman movie, because
it is crazy that we don't
love him. He's
is like the only
good.
Batman who didn't get his own movie.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And it just sucks that the Justice League movie that was made by that piece of trash, Joss Whedon, pretty much ruined. And then all the fans that just suck.
Well, Batman versus Superman was still not good. And that was one of the things I was thinking when he first went back in time. I'm like, well, at least they fixed that.
Shut up.
But I wonder if we had gotten more Batfleck if that hadn't been his debut as him. I don't know.
Without a doubt.
But I also loved when they find Michael Keaton, because it's him. It's coming. Obviously. And then he's like dressed like the dude.
Feral. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved that scene. Just watching him like kick ass dressed as like with, his flippy floppies on. I wish he had been drinking a White Russian. That would have been perfect.
Been good. My big complaint. So again, another big complaint was the CGI. And this is when Barry starts to go back in time for the first time. It was cool at first. And then he gets to that like room almost, and it's when he's running, it doesn't make sense to me because his arms are moving forward but his legs are moving backward. I'm like, what kind
I didn't
of
even
animation?
Notice that.
Yeah, when his arms are moving forward, his legs are going backwards. I'm like, I don't understand the animation here. And then you get really freaking awful CGI. It's literally video game graphics, and a lot of it doesn't make sense because a lot of these scenes we just filmed like later in the movie during the big fight. We were just filming scenes with Zod and Supergirl. Like, why did you have to computer generate them? Why did you computer generate everybody? You could have spliced scenes. Like, I'm not a visual effects master, but I don't know shit. But like, I just think that was for
maybe they were going for something artistically to
He came out, Andy did, and was like, it's on purpose because this is visualized. I'm like, no, that's just you make an excuse for really shitty CGI. But whatever.
Yeah.
Do you?
No, the CGI did take away from it a few moments, but for the most part, they did a good job. But like the actual fight scenes were all really good. Were really well done. But yeah, the babies and the Speed Force were not the best.
They did a really good job explaining things like how his suit was made and like the science behind it. And I thought they did a really good job of explaining how he phases through things, because that's one of my favorite powers of Flashes is you can
when they show it. Stuff.
Yeah,
molecules, that was cool.
They really did. Like, that was really well done. I liked that. And I didn't really care for the ADHD crazy spaz version of Barry at first, but it kind of makes sense again. Like, he grew up with his parents, he was spoiled, and he's just like a stoner kid.
So yeah, he's an 18-year-old kid in his first year of college. He's like, is this a leftover acid trip or something like that?
Oh yeah, I could have lived without seeing Ezra's naked booty out there in the middle of the street, honestly. But again, like
I like that scene though, just because it made sense that his clothes would burn off. And I even thought that.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
He was trying to like explain to him. He's like, wait. And then he goes and runs. And it's like, I'm glad they explained why he can't run in just everyday clothes because it burns it off.
Yeah, because I feel like in the TV show and a lot of these other versions, they just skip all that. And they're like, you're just supposed to, that's just movie magic or whatever. Or like, if you listen to the Talkville podcast, they always make the comment like, oh, Clark's clothes are just fine. Like, and so they did a good job with that.
I definitely agree.
And even when he redid the bat suit to look like the Flash suit, and then original Barry was like, oh, you have to be careful because you're going to build up too much energy in there and whatnot. So, because that's one of the things with Barry is it's like Peter, he's intelligent, and that's always, fun in the Flash when you hear them, do this bullshit science basically, where there's still a little bit of truth behind all of it when you hear Cisco and Barry and Caitlin like figure all these things out. So that was cool to see. Yeah.
And then I do like that they did when like how they went and decided everything made sense. So he was like, oh, we gotta go find Bruce Wayne because I have no metahumans, and that whole sequence where he's like, Albert, can you stop? And he's like playing the music in the background, and he's like, this is my cousin Barry. And then
I know
how I like the little joke of Marty McFly.
My God, Eric Stoltz.
Yes, like that was a funny joke.
So I was actually listening to an interview recently with the guy who plays Biff, and I didn't realize they almost shot the entire movie. I thought that they had just done a few key scenes. I didn't realize like and I guess the Eric Stoltz guy was also like, what did Joker do? Method acting. He was call me Marty, but he wasn't doing it with Leah Thompson because he was, she's cute. So he didn't want to do that with her. But that was so funny. I'm like, the worst thing to come from him going in the past was they fucked up Back to the Future.
He was like, and then he was naming off like the movies or whatever that never exist. He's like, oh my God, I broke everything.
And then what was it with Footloose? They said somebody else was in Footloose. Somebody else was in Top Gun.
Kevin Bacon. He was like, wasn't he
Michael J. Fox? Yeah.
Michael J. Fox is in Footloose. And then he's like, no, that's Kevin Bacon. He's like, he was in Top Gun. The guy in Top Gun about the gay pilots? And then I was like, because it's just that military services always make fun of each other, and everybody like the Navy, that's like their shtick, whether it's politically correct or not. And so that was kind of just funny, like military humor, I guess. But yeah, it was like, no, he's in Top Gun. And I was like, he's like, I broke the universe. That
was amazing.
My first thought. That I like that a lot too. And then I always love how Wayne Manor is always covered in fog. And just looks so dreary. Like no matter what iteration, Wayne Manor is just like the most depressing place on earth. The whole area is nice and shiny, and they actually did a really good job of Gotham City and Central City. Like I liked the city scenery that they had. It didn't look dirty and depressing. It actually looked pretty nice. It looked like a city.
Well, and Bruce even said like, Gotham City crime is cleaned up. They don't even he's like sad they don't need him anymore.
Oh, that reminds me. Yes. When the Lasso of Truth, he's like, I have all this money. I could have donated it to make a better thing. I was like, I like that they leaned into that joke a little bit on that aspect.
Did you catch the one? Was it? I think it was when they rescued Supergirl, and which they didn't even call her Supergirl, which I like that because he's what does the S stand for? Did he call her Supergirl?
Yeah, the other Barry from this alternate.
Well, he made the joke. He
said Supergirl, and she
just stares at him.
What this stands for? He goes Supergirl, and that's hope. And he's like, yeah, hope.
Because they weren't actually like referring to her as Supergirl, and I actually kind of like that.
Agreed.
But when they rescued her, and the one Barry has the fast powers right there, and the other Barry doesn't, and they did like the scene, and in my head I was thinking, wow, they're doing a good job not overdoing the slow motion. They're doing really well. And then new Barry goes, man, you should have seen that in slow motion. And I like died laughing, and Josh is like looking at me like, I don't understand what's so funny. And I thought that I had to like be quiet laughing because then it was like a quiet scene. I thought that was hilarious. Like kudos to you guys. You even called out the overusage of slow-mo.
I thought it was pretty funny. So everyone makes fun of the running sequences of how Barry runs, and they explained it's like he's like swimming through the air and stuff. So that kind of made sense. But it was funny when our Barry lost his powers and he tries to run, and he's like very awkwardly looks awful. I was like, okay, I really like that because it's like they're making fun of that as well. I thought that was pretty good.
Well, I've heard with the TV show, they're like, yeah, you should see Grant run.
Yes. Well, it's just going to look awkward, of course. So, I mean, That's the hard part. And some of the sequences of the running looked pretty good. They weren't, Makari Eternals level of like really good CGI as far as the running, but I thought overall they did a pretty decent job for the most part on that aspect.
But yeah, Makari and Barry, I feel like are very differently portrayed in the comic books too, how they run. So
for sure.
Yeah. That's good comparison.
And when we get to Michael Keaton, of course, in the back,
Wayne Manor.
Not the back of Wayne Manor. Yeah. I was really cool how he explained the multiverse. Like,
I loved that.
I know people are like, oh, I'm all of a sudden, there's a bunch of discourse. Like, I'm tired of multiverse stories, blah, blah, blah. It's like, then don't watch these movies, because comic book movies have progressed to the point where this multiverses are a big deal in comic books. So like, just don't watch them, whatever. I'm not tired
DC
of them.
did it first on the screens. They did it before Marvel did it.
DC's big thing is the multiverse, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. I will say, like, this big, he's like, this is a fulcrum. There's like fixed points in time that have to happen no matter what you do. And then you get the spaghetti. There's like parallel things happening and some intersecting points and this and that. And I was like, okay, they dumbed it down enough for like the average audience member who might not understand what the multiverse is to like, they dumbed it down pretty much and explained it like they're five. And I thought that was pretty clever.
Well, and here was a nod. I'm assuming that was to Back to the Future, because he's like, I'm sure you've seen a movie. And at first I was like, is he making fun of Marvel? But then I think it was a Back to the Future reference.
To the Future that says, if you change this, it affects this. But no, like when you go back and it changes your future and your past. And I was
Which we saw more of in the future. What did you do when, okay, before we get to that, what was your reaction when you saw Nick Cage?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So that was awesome, because if you don't know, Kevin Smith in 96 was supposed to make a Superman movie and Nicolas Cage was going to play Superman. And so, Kevin Smith is losing his mind and loving it. And I was cool with it. I liked the cameos were cool and they made sense. I just, again, when we get to
I wanted more though. I was like, I wanted Grant. I wanted to see Grant Gustin.
I don't know why Grant wasn't there. I don't know why, like, maybe Christian Bale wasn't there. Why didn't Val Kilmer somehow if you're a computer generating everybody, why wasn't Val Kilmer's Batman?
What about Tom Welling? I mean, you could go on and on. Doom Patrol. You could have kept going.
We got George Reeves. We got Christopher Reeves. We had Adam West, and then Nick
I love the Adam West.
So that was fine.
Did all that on the CW. So I will say that they did that not long ago. And we even saw this Flash, Ezra's Flash in
which is also why
CW.
wasn't Grant showing up?
I know. I wanted to see, I was hoping that scene was going to be from that movie and that they were going to show that scene again. I thought that would have been really cool to see how truly connected they are.
I don't know why they didn't do
I love Grant Gustin so much. I need to finish the fucking Flash.
Yeah.
One day.
I liked the slow motion scene of feral Bruce Wayne trying to fight the Flash, and like our Barry's getting his ass kicked, and meanwhile the other Barry is just like slow motion, and then Michael Keaton's getting beat up. That was fun to watch, and it was cool to see Michael Keaton. Like he felt like Batman as soon as he came. The presence was great. Like I thought it was really clever how they go to the Batcave, and Barry's like, "I see you, Bruce. I know you're watching," and he is. And I was like, I love that, because he 100% would be. It's Bruce Wayne. Of course he's going to be watching.
And Barry knows Bruce, even if it's not his Bruce. There's similarities with all of them.
Well, they explain it later. It's like there's different Bruces all throughout the multiverse, but they all kind of act the same.
And he did make a comment when he was doing the spaghetti too, where it's like some of them intersect, and he explained why some of them are the same actor, basically. And so I feel like he was explaining it for Marvel and for DC. Honestly, I really thought that was
really well done explanation. Mm-hmm. And I did like when he came back, because when they go to Russia to find Clark, I love that the action sequences with Batman were freaking good. He was beating some serious ass, and you felt the hits and the way he moved. I loved every second of that.
Yeah. Oh my God. And when Zod said the infant didn't make it.
Oh yeah.
Shit, dude. That was hard.
It was crazy, because they come to find out and Batman was ready to go. He's like, it's not him. And then they still saved her. And then I thought the CGI was pretty decent when she was there in Siberia and she was beating up all the bad guys. I was like, oh yeah. These guys are all dead.
No, they did a good job with her. And we are going to see more of her, or no? I don't even know what's happening in the future.
The original ending of the film was shot where Keaton and Sasha show up actually. And Barry's universe that we're in now, like he leaves the courthouse and like they actually shot the scene. There was pictures and everything of those two, Supergirl and Batman, showing up. But they scrapped that, and that's what the ending that we got instead. So I don't think we'll ever see Michael Keaton again.
Well, I'm glad we got to see him,
know,
especially after Batgirl got scratched.
But I liked that Zod came back, and everybody was complaining like he's just this run of the mill villain. I'm like, well, that's the point. Like this movie isn't about him. Like Man of Steel was about Zod and Clark. In this iteration, Zod's just a bad guy coming to Earth, and the whole point was, oh God, I got to save this Earth. And so they went and got Sasha, Supergirl, and one thing I really liked too was how they showed Barry the Flashpoint nods. So like in Flashpoint Paradox, Barry tries to electrocute himself to get his powers back, and he gets fried to shit. And they showed that in this movie too. I like that callback because this is a Flashpoint Paradox movie essentially, and I like that they showed him getting his powers both.
I like the Keaton did was just like, all right, I'll electrocute you.
Yeah, they're like, do it again.
And I'll do it again. All right,
and he's like, oh,
it's fried.
And then Supergirl carries him, gets him electrocuted up there, and then he gets his powers back, luckily. And when the pictures originally came out, they were like, is that a bat? Like, what is going on with his suit? Like, that looks so bad. This is what we're getting. And it made sense that you didn't know. People were complaining before the movie came out, of course. But it made sense that the alternate Barry put together a bat suit because Batman was like, threw it to Barry Allen when he was going to get electrocuted to get his powers back, and was like, this is going to help. And he's like, no, I need it to right at me.
Right.
The other Barry turned that into a bat suit. It made sense that it looked all wonky. It was a fucking Batman suit.
Yeah, we got to stop complaining before, because a lot of people did that with Little Mermaid. Yeah, but Flounder and Scuttle and Sebastian, they totally changed them. But when you see the movie, it makes sense. It's fine. I had no issue with those three characters while watching the movie.
Adaptations.
Yeah. And it's like it's like the difference between hearing a clip from something and hearing the whole explanation. Like, you know. I mean, some movies do suck. Don't get me wrong. And, you know, I would say you knew how this movie was going to end, though. You 100% knew. Like, he had to go back and let his mom die. That was
another complaint. I've seen people like, you knew how this whole plot was going to play out. I'm like, yeah, of course. You knew how it was going to end. If you know the Flashpoint Paradox story, you know how this ends. That's the tragedy of Barry Allen. Like,
he's like Uncle Ben. He's got to die. Nora Allen's got to die.
Yeah. And they had the Black Flash chasing after him. That was cool. And then the whole sequence of fighting out in the desert, I liked that. Like, there were some really cool aspects of that fight, how they were electrocuting the Kryptonians to death. Like, they showed that the Flash, you know, can stand toe to toe with Kryptonians. Like, they're just as fast, if not a little bit faster. And
no, he said that they were faster.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Barry's faster than because New Barry is like, oh, they're fast. And I instantly thought of that scene where Superman looks over, which was actually on. We went to Ellipsis before we went there, and they actually had Justice League on the TV.
Yikes. I will say too, like, Sasha, she was beating some serious ass. Like, she was messing Zod up. I thought like she was showing some brutality, which is really cool. And again, Zod was just kind of there, and there were some points between the two Barrys when they were on screen together that the CGI also looked really bad. And
I thought they did a pretty good job, though, because it was interesting watching him hold himself, knowing he's not a twin. Yeah. So, I mean, and there are times like one's a little bit taller than the other, but I'm like, it could be their shoes.
And I thought, you know, once, you know, Supergirl dies, Batman dies, they go back in time, they fix it. And again, Batman dies again. And you get this really good, like, hey, I can save you. He goes, not this time. That was really cool. And it was like kind of emotional, where Michael Keaton basically said, that's it, I'm done. You know, he showed up, he did his part, and that was sad. And then again, Supergirl dies.
I think he wanted to go out fighting.
Well, he
hadn't gotten a chance to fight in a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was sweet.
I like that. And then they go to they're back in the Speed Force, and the alternate Barry's like, I can do this a million times. And that's when our Barry realizes, like, fixed point in times, my mom has to die. Again, the tragedy of Barry Allen is his mom always has to die. Like,
and you knew that was coming too. Like, you knew that was going to be Barry.
And I thought it was cool how they showed the other worlds colliding into each other. I liked that. I don't like this awful graphics. I just, again, like the awful graphics and the cameos and all that. But setting that aside, it was cool that Barry was like, this has to happen. And the other Barry was refusing to accept it. And it turns out the other Barry was the Black Flash, because he had been doing this for so long. And people complained again, like, oh, he's the villain. It's like, well, it makes sense. Like, our Barry has gone through everything. This other Barry just got the powers. He doesn't know how to be a hero. He doesn't know any of this stuff yet. So it makes sense that he thinks he can save everybody with his newfound powers. That's just how it goes.
He never had the slow buildup of gaining the confidence and the intelligence and all that. He's just overly cocky. Well, and they never said who killed Nora Allen.
I will say, like, I do wish that we had gotten a Reverse Flash hint. That's but again, I don't think they knew if we were getting a sequel or anything like that. They probably didn't want to tease anything without knowing the future.
Well, like bringing Superman in at the end of a movie and then doing nothing with him.
My thought is, if James Gunn is so high on this movie that there's going to be a sequel, I sincerely hope Ezra is recast, though. Like
I would be surprised if
I thought Ezra did a great job. Like Ezra, okay, acting wise, Ezra did a decent job. Like they really, the scene in the grocery store at the end where he's hugging his mom and stuff. That was a very emotionally well done scene. I just don't think Ezra's a piece of trash human being. Don't just recast him and move on. I'm cool with that.
Yes, I was really hoping that the end credit scene would be something along those lines of him getting recast, like another Flash shows up. Agreed. I thought that would have been really cool. But instead we got
the right thing.
That was a weird end credit scene. What the fuck?
Oh yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, agreed. So
I mean, I love Aquaman. Well, I don't love Aquaman. I love. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, well, that leads to, the courthouse where his dad's appeal is going on. Barry figured out his dad didn't look at the camera because he went out to get that extra can of tomatoes for the sauce, and he never looked up at the camera to prove that he was actually there and he didn't kill him. Again, I do wish we gotten some Reverse Flash nods, but if they make a sequel, obviously I think that's where we're headed. And so he fixes that. He looks at the camera. He gets out. They go out to the courthouse scene. And now this is where Keaton and Sasha were supposed to show up. However, the car pulls up. He's talking to Bruce Wayne, and I recognize George Clooney's voice.
I didn't. Like, I knew it wasn't.
That's George Clooney.
Though. I was thinking, is it Michael Keaton? I knew it wasn't Affleck.
I didn't think that it would actually be Michael Keaton. I didn't think it would be George Clooney getting out of the car. I legit was like, when he got out of the car, I was like, no way. And then
bring back Alicia Silverstone. Okay.
Yes. Give me Chris O'Donnell even. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I thought it was like the best use, like between Guardians and this, like they did a really well job using their one F-bomb, because Barry was like, who the fuck is that? Like it felt natural.
I didn't even pick up on that.
It was great. Yeah. He gets out of the car and Barry's like, who the fuck is that? And I was like, that's good. Okay. That is good. And
he used a lot of shits.
Yes.
Shit was thrown around quite a lot.
My only complaint, though, is I wish they didn't use George Clooney for the sole fact of, okay, how are you going to explain Batman now? Like, is he Batman in this universe? He's staying in this universe. How are we going to explain Batman in this universe now? It's not George Clooney. So that's my only complaint. Is like, I wish they kind of set up the other Batman that you didn't have to show his face. That would have been great. And
maybe this, I don't know.
Yeah. But I also didn't really like Iris and Barry's relationship yet. She was barely on screen, but she was kind of a really big dick.
I did not like this Iris at all.
She was just kind of an a-hole. Like there was something off. Like they had no chemistry, I think is what it was. There was zero chemistry between these two actors. I'm not saying like Kiersey Clemons, she can probably act her ass off. She just has no chemistry with Ezra. Like who...
I've never seen her in anything else, but like I did not. She even came back to apologize and say, but I guess I'm used to Iris from the show, and I love her. She seems so sweet and genuine and intelligent. And I mean, this person just, there was no layers. I didn't
feel any chemistry or anything. And no, she was barely in the movie, but
yeah. The scene in the last movie they had was better. She was better in that than. Agreed. She wasn't this. Was it even the same actress? I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, and she mentioned that too. She's like, "Didn't I see you recently?"
Yeah.
And Barry's like, "No, you did not." But that scene was better than any of their scenes together in this movie.
Agreed. And yeah, that end credit scene. I think the reason why they did the end credit scene of just Aquaman and Barry stumbling out of a bar together, where he's like, "Yeah, there's different Batmans, but they all are basically the same person, or played by different. There's different people that are Bruce Wayne's." But he's like, you're always Aquaman. I think that was basically saying like,
right.
So he's going to remain Aquaman in the new DC, I think is what that basically was saying. But also this ends the Snyder crap, and they don't have any firm, like they don't know what's going on. So they couldn't set another movie up because they're right now, like James Gunn just said that Blue Beetle is going to kick off the new DC universe. And so,
gotcha. And Aquaman, when does Aquaman 2 come out?
December.
Oh,
and
wow.
so I think that's what that was like, because Aquaman 2 is coming out this year. They're hyping that up. But yeah, it was just a kind of like, okay, again, meh, end credit scene. So overall though, I only give this movie like a 7 out of 10 because of the CGI. Like I liked the emotional moments. I liked the humor. I liked the action. I liked the story a lot, but the CGI for me, like it's a $200 million movie and the CGI was just that bad. Like I can't give it anything higher than a 7. And so in my opinion, that's what I give it.
I think I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Whoa. You rated a DC movie higher than I did.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this. And honestly, if I wish it wasn't this, terrible human being. And I do think that Ezra should be canceled at this point, 100%. But, and I understand why they didn't, because so much had already been done and you had all these other actors and people involved in the project.
The movie was made by the time that they went on this really crazy high, whatever the hell they were doing. Like, yeah, in 2020, he did commit like assault. He like choked a woman or something,
which is fucking terrible. You don't
that alone. From that. Exactly. That alone should have like, bro, no. But they moved forward and then the movie was pretty much made. But you can see in the marketing that they've heavily marketed it off of Batman and Supergirl for that reason, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think Keaton sells for sure.
Well, that too. Like Batman, so
I think that
sells.
Was a win-win there. Yeah, Batman sells. But Michael Keaton's sells, Batman is what, as you would say, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
But no, this is probably the most enjoyable DC movie I have experienced. Other than maybe if you want to say like when I was a kid watching the movies, but like I really enjoyed it. I loved the nods to things. I loved the call outs. I loved that they had Supergirl next to Superman. And I even went, aw, and my husband again looks at me and I explained to him after and I'm like, well, she's, played Supergirl. And then she's actually Kal-El's mom in Smallville and she's Supergirl's mom in the CW. So I like that they, because everybody loves Christopher Reeve, but it was nice to see her whose name I can't even remember, but
it was nice. No, it definitely was nice. And there was, I think it's DC's best movie that they've come out with personally. But yeah, just the CGI for me just really bothered me. It's petty, maybe. I don't know.
No, if it does take away though when you're in the moment. And I think the two things that took away were the cheesy CGI. It did take it away from me in certain moments, and the fact that Ezra was the Flash.
Yeah, though that's the other thing too. Is like I wanted to love because the Flash is my favorite superhero. Like
he's your Wolverine.
I can't. It feels like I can't fully be excited and be like I finally got to see my favorite hero in his solo movie. Because it's like it's Ezra, and that's the other thing. Is like I would have easily bought the popcorn tin, the cup, but I was like I don't want anything with Ezra's
with his face on it.
Yeah, I was like I don't want Ezra's face on stuff. Like I don't want to go for a cup and there's Ezra. Like that's the other thing that really sucks. It's like that's another thing that held me back.
We did get free tickets. So at least we didn't. So when we saw Guardians of the Galaxy, we went to one of the recliner places and apparently they are powered by batteries and his battery was dead in the chair. And we got there early enough. He went and got somebody and they're like, well, we don't have time to replace it right now, but we can give you 3 free tickets. And he's like, okay. So then we used those 2 tickets. We had to call though to book it in advance. Otherwise it would have been sold out.
Right.
And then when we got there, he's like, I really hope my chair's broken again. So we get more free tickets.
Well, I have the Regal Unlimited, which is worth it. If you go to 2 movies in a month, it pays for itself. It's $18. So I do that. And then I have all those gift card money. So
yeah, so we don't go that. Well, I guess this month we will if we see Indiana Jones in June. Oh
God, I can't wait. Yeah, Indiana Jones is the next movie that we're going to. I get a week off because I'm going to LA next week and there's no movies coming out, thank God. And then Indiana Jones.
Which we will be doing an episode on before it comes out.
One big thing real quick is Kripke invited like a bunch of people out to the writer's strike, but he's doing some event, but it's June 22nd, the day before I get to LA. I'm like, damn it. I could have met Kripke.
That would be cool. That would be so
maybe I could still run into him. I don't know. It's LA, right? There's celebrities out there and all that good
stuff. And now you can be like, hey, I like Supernatural too.
Yeah, that's true. Woo-hoo. Imagine if I meet Kripke. It'd be fun. But yeah, overall, good movie. Go see it. Make your own opinions.
Or wait till it comes out. It's up to you. Wait till you've probably, I would think, seen it if you've gotten this far.
It's going to be on max in probably like
Ugh.
5 days, I imagine. So you
Max,
probably
so
won't have to wait
stupid.
too long. Yeah. Anyways, that was our review on The Flash. If you want more, as always, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hops Geek News. We are going to be back next week with some Indiana Jones,
Dun,
getting
dun,
you hyped
dun,
up
dun,
for
dun.
the release of Dial of Destiny. Right? That's what it's called, Indiana Jones?
Yes,
and the Dial
Style
of
of Destiny.
Gosh, all these film titles, man, they always trip me up. Yeah. We'll see you soon. Cheers.